Welcome back to my channel Knowledge Chronicle.
Today, we're diving deep into one of the most fascinating and unique processes in plant biology, double fertilization. This is something only flowering plants or angiosperms are capable of. And trust me, once you understand how this works, you'll be amazed at the complexity of even the tiniest flower. So let's begin. So, what exactly is double fertilization? In simple words, double fertilization is a process where two male gametes, that's the plant equivalent of sperm cells, fuse with two different types of cells inside the ovule of a flower. Now, why is it called double? Because it involves two separate fusion events in the same embryo sac. First, syngamy, the fusion of one male gamete with the egg cell. And second, triple fusion, the fusion of the other male gamete with two polar nuclei. Let's break this down further. It all starts with pollination. When pollen grains from the male part of the flower, the anther, land on the female part, the stigma. From there, the pollen grain grows a tube, called the pollen tube, down through the style and into the ovule located in the ovary. Inside the pollen tube are two male gametes. Once the tube reaches the embryo sac, which is kind of like the command center of the ovule, it enters through one of the synergids, which are helper cells flanking the egg cell. The first fusion event is called syngamy. The first male gamete finds the egg cell and fuses with its nucleus. This fusion is called syngamy. What's the result? A diploid zygote. That's a cell with two sets of chromosomes, one from the male and one from the female. This zygote will later divide and grow into an embryo, the baby plant. Now comes the second fusion event, known as triple fusion. The second male gamete moves towards the central cell, which contains two polar nuclei. These are also haploid, meaning they each have one set of chromosomes. When the second male gamete fuses with both polar nuclei, it's called triple fusion because three haploid nuclei are involved. The outcome? A triploid primary endosperm nucleus, or pen. This cell now has three sets of chromosomes. This pen develops into the endosperm, the tissue that nourishes the growing embryo, just like the yolk of an egg feeds a chick. Why is double fertilization important? Well, double fertilization is super efficient. It ensures that the endosperm, which is rich in nutrients, only forms if fertilization is successful. That way, the plant doesn't waste resources. And remember, only angiosperms show this type of fertilization. It's one of the key features that make them so successful and diverse on Earth. Let's rewind and remember. First, a pollen grain lands on the stigma and grows a pollen tube. Next, the pollen tube enters the embryo sac through a synergid. Then it releases two male gametes. One gamete fuses with the egg cell, syngamy, forming a diploid zygote. The second gamete fuses with two polar nuclei, triple fusion, forming a triploid endosperm nucleus. The zygote becomes the embryo, and the endosperm nourishes it. This dual action is what we call double fertilization, a genius mechanism found only in flowering plants. You've seen this in action more than you realize. Ever eaten a grain of wheat or a kernel of corn? That starchy part you eat? That's endosperm, developed through double fertilization. Without it, we wouldn't have most of our staple foods. Double fertilization may happen inside a tiny ovule, but its impact is massive, from beautiful flowers to the crops that feed the world. And that's the power of nature's design. If you found this video informative, please don't forget, your one like, share, and subscribe will help us create more valuable content. Stay tuned with Knowledge Chronicle, where every fact blossoms into understanding.